I was always kind of the shorter kid in classes.
People would say, I can't believe he's 11. He looks like he's 9.
Kids are kids, so there was like some bullying. I just started feeling very like out of place.
His endocrinologist was very insistent that really the only thing that's going to help him grow would be growth hormone shots.
I went to a restaurant and for the first time they didn't ask me if I wanted a kids menu. Whenever I see someone who is short, they kind of just like hits home. Like I know what it was like to be there. Everything's very fast moving in fencing, and it's kind of cool because you have to like react on instincts. You can't just like slow down to analyze your opponent's moves. And it's just kind of cool to see your body's natural defense mechanism, plus like a little bit of just analytical planning ahead and stuff. I mean, for the most part, I'm just a boy and it's a sword, so. Fencing just kind of an escape from stuff.
Fencing he brought it up, it's just an unusual sport, which is obviously interesting in that aspect. I like it that it's a thinking sport, but it's still athletic, which I do enjoy for him to be able to do, but it's not so much based on height, which that was a big appeal.
I was always kind of the shorter kid in classes, especially like middle school, and the kids are kids are kids, they're kind of mean to like things that stand out, so there was like some bullying. And it definitely was a separation from everyone else. It was mainly like at first I didn't really notice too much, but other people definitely did. And then like over the years, it was just things would kind of hint at it, and I just started feeling very like out of place near people my age.
I definitely noticed that too, in especially those last 2 years. He'd always been a little less mature than his peers. He would get offered a children's menu at restaurants, or people would say, I can't believe he's 11. You know, he looks like he's 9.
I started noticing that I was not growing at the same rate as everyone else, like right after COVID. They kind of jumped like right into like after online school, they did like a year after like hybrid. And like I went back and I saw my friends again and they just towered over me, and it was readily apparent that like I was significantly shorter.
Sam was getting bullied, and it seemed like they were making, more comments about his height. So that was really hard, as a parent. And I mean, he was, I got him a therapist to talk to for a little while, and that helped.
It was pretty hard going through that every day in middle school.
You certainly, as a mom, you want to sort of keep your kid from having any kind of that pain, and you bring it up to the pediatrician as well as, what can we do? This is obviously an issue.
My name is Sam, and I have growth hormone deficiency.
The prevalence, it could be something around 1 in 3,000, 1 in 4,000 kids. Either the kid, it could be not growing very well since the first years of life, or it can slow down the growth. We as a pediatric endocrinologist, we have a mathematical calculation that is a simple tool based on the height of the parents that'll give us some idea about in which percentile should be the kid growing. If we see that the kid is growing below what we're expecting or is crossing down percentiles, it's one of the first red flags to start suspecting growth hormone deficiency.
I saw a picture of Sam with his softball team, and I was actually thinking for once that he was maybe catching up. He was, kind of near the same head height as these other kids. And then I looked down and I realized in the picture he was standing on his tiptoes, which, for me, that was a heavy hitting moment where I realized even he knew, that, whether subconscious or not, he was trying to appear taller in pictures.
The growth hormone deficiency, it can carry a big emotional and psychological, even social burden in kids. They are not picked up during the recess at the games because they are the shortest one and they don't want to be picked in either team. And that high risk, it made them feel really, really bad, which translates to emotional burden for parents as well. As a parents, we don't want to see our kids to be left out from teams, competitions, social events, etc., etc. So that's something that we see every single day in the clinic. The sad situation that we face is when we have kids that are coming late teens, 17, 18 years old, concerned about the growth because they're not growing anymore. They're looking for our help, but it's too late. So I will say, sadly, is more misdiagnosed than I will wish for.
So the official diagnosis was a very lengthy process. They thought I might have something wrong with my height about 6 months before they actually did anything about it. They just kind of started looking at a bunch of things.
So the MRI can be done beforehand sometimes as part of the diagnostic process, or sometimes they'll do it after. They want to see if there's anything structurally wrong with the pituitary. Sammy's was inconclusive.
The stim test it's very weird. They just put a bunch of stuff in the IV. You can't eat during it or before it. And then they also every time they take your blood, they flush it out with saline. So it when they do it, there's a smell and it makes you very nauseous, and I almost threw up every time they do it.
Here's your MRI. Sam was diagnosed right after the stim test because he failed it. That was clear-cut enough for the doctors with his poor growth. He was 14, I believe, almost right on the dot. His endocrinologist was fantastic. He was very insistent that really the only thing that's going to help him grow properly and even, have any chance at getting to his mid-parental height would be growth hormone shots.
The whole idea of using the growth hormone is not to make giants. We will have these kids to be able to have a normal life, to be able to drive a car, to reach the cabinets in the kitchen. So in order to get that, we want them to get to the genetic potential. The genetic potential is a mathematical calculation that we use based on parents' height. When we have available both parents at the clinic visit, we measure them, and that gives us an idea about how tall the kid could be. Sometimes we don't have two parents in the clinic, so we have to estimate, trying to guess the best that we can.
Sam's first year, he had a great response and he grew 4.76 inches, which they usually say about 3 to 4 inches a year on growth hormone because you're trying to get some catch-up growth. You need to be growing 2 inches a year after age 4. So growth hormone deficient kids, they've missed some of that and they have some catch-up growth. And so they're growing a little bit faster. So his first year with that 4.5 inches roughly was fantastic.
I definitely saw changes in the first 3 months, and it was very obvious that this was gonna work. I think it was when I first saw one of my teachers and I realized now I was I was up there, and they even said something about it. And then I went to a restaurant, and for the first time they didn't ask me if I wanted a kids menu.
The Magic Foundation is a phenomenal organization that was started 35 years ago, basically by parents whose kids had some varying growth issues and growth conditions, and there was just not much out there for information and support. And it just so happened that they actually needed a volunteer to be the growth hormone deficiency division consultant. So I now talking to a lot of the parents when they're first joining and first trying to figure stuff out and asking questions about their own kids.
So far, we've been through more than 30, 40 years with growth hormone treatment. It's been a long, long way. We started with extracts of growth hormone from cadavers back in the 60s, 70s, and there's more studies in the pipeline. So the future is very, very promising.
I am extremely hopeful for the future in my continuation of growth. I keep setting personal goals. Right out of high school, I also plan to go into the United States Marine Corps, and I know that the physical standards of being a Marine are extremely tough. So I'm definitely very positive about the future.
He's really growing great, and they're expecting with his bone age, he'll probably be on shots another year or so. And hope is looking like he will hit 5'11" to 6'1", somewhere in that range.
I don't think we should measure personality in inches. Whenever I see someone who is short, that kind of just hits home because I know what it was like to be there. So it just kind of stands out to me when I see someone who is in the situation that I was in too.
I would say his confidence today is average to above average for a teenage boy. He obviously, there's still things that you're trying to figure out as a teenager in your life and things that you don't know about yourself yet and exploring things in the world, but he is very confident in terms of talking to other people, being on stage in sports situations.
Good boy.
And just with his peers, and hanging out with them, there's not that one thing kind of hanging over his head of, I feel different, I feel like I stand out.
Oh, good boy.
He can stand out for more positive things like his kindness and his personality.
Boy.